Hello my dear entrepreneurs, future business people, marketers. This video is for you because I'm gonna share 5 books that you absolutely have to read in 2019. I actually read them, I listened to them in 2018 and they absolutely changed the way I market my products. They changed the way I relate to my business. So they help me grow both personally and professionally, and they're all business related. Interested? Continue watching. I need to start with finding the time kind of problem. A lot of you always tell me like, hey, I need to work on my project like 20 hours a day. I don't even have time to read. But actually, audiobooks is what's helping me a lot, especially when I fly. When I fly transatlantic flights from like San Francisco to Munich or Frankfurt, it takes like 11 to 12 hours and I'm able to listen to at least one audiobook completely because normally they're like 7 or 8 hours. And then when I'm at the destination, there are always a couple of days when I'm still kind of jet lagged and I spend a lot of time in my hotel and I continue listening to whatever I've started listening to on the airplane. So audiobooks for you entrepreneurs is the game changer, time saver, whenever you're driving, whenever you're in traffic. So highly recommended. I know sometimes you might be like, oh, sometimes I miss information when I'm listening. I'm better focused when I'm reading like the actual book, but we entrepreneurs are all about optimizing everything that we do. So I think this like benefit of saving your time, it actually overweighs the fact that some of you might not be that comfortable to listening to every single audiobook that I mentioned. But again, it's up to you. In my case, audiobooks changed my relationships with books completely. I'm gonna start with a book that is like 6 hours long, very basic, but it's so motivational. It's called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson is this, I didn't even realize he's like a superstar here in the US and everybody knows him, and I actually traveled to his conference called ClickFunnels back in February and there were 5,000 people from all over the world. So basically Russell teaches how to automate your business, how to build funnels so that people land on your landing page, you're giving them some free product like a PDF or like a free audiobook or like a free whatever, then you convert them through a series of emails into buying something that is a little more than a book. So he wrote that book called Expert Secrets, and there are a lot of things that you can learn. One thing that I've learned is he said always plan short term in terms of like revenue. It's very easy to tell yourself like mentally, oh, in a year I'm gonna make 1 million. He says, don't do that. Like a year is a lot. Do something in a shorter sprint. Like tell yourself, I only have a month to do 100,000. And this sounds a little more viable, right? Like making 100K instead of like 1 million. And it also makes you act. And this is something crucial for me because beforehand I was like planning a year in advance, like, oh, okay, we need to grow 3x or whatever. Now I'm like, I'm not doing like 1 month sprints, I'm doing 3 month sprints. And I have like separate goals. I have a goal related to YouTube, I have a goal related to all of my businesses, I have a goal related to my health, and they are smaller than one of your goals and they're easier to achieve. And this is something I learned from Russell. Highly recommend it. Again, it takes 6 to 7 hours to listen to it. This is the book number 1. Book number 2, How to Turn Down $1 Billion, which is a Snapchat story. It talks about the startup. Well, Snapchat was no longer a startup. I think it's a company making a lot of money. Their stocks are trading at a stock exchange here in the US. The book tells a story of a founder of Snapchat, Evan Spiegel, how he started back at university, dropped out of university, started growing this company. But the main thing that's really important for me is his competition with Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark from Facebook tried to acquire Snapchat several times. Every time Evan said no. And when he said no, I think for the second time, what Mark did, they just copied Snapchat completely. And you see that Facebook, like Instagram, is copying a lot from Snapchat. They've done Instagram stories, which was a complete Snapchat's copy. They've done masks. Facebook actually bought my friend's company to create masks. So they were doing a lot of stuff. And actually at the beginning, Facebook was failing at copying Snapchat. Now they have a lot more attraction. But what was really revealing for me is that if you're doing something that you're passionate about, and Evan was all like social, he liked to hang out with people, he liked to be in the center of the community, and this is why he created that app that created communities within the app, allowed you to share stuff. He understands millennials, he understands young people a lot better than a big company with billions of dollars, because he's one of them. And this is a really important thing for me and for all of you guys, because we all have fears of a very good company just copying the product, just trying to make the same thing, and you're like, I'm gonna compete with them. But the thing is, they're not always successful at just copying stuff. And so there is a lot of detail about like Facebook copying Snapchat, but it made me so happy to read that Facebook failed at copying Snapchat at first. I was like, yeah, Evan, do it. I actually get so frustrated when big companies just copy smaller companies' products, because I don't know. Well, this is like somebody stealing your own creativity, and this story is something really motivational and really like, inspirational. So don't worry about bigger companies. Read this book, listen to this book, and you will be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna fight them there. I'm just going through my Audible list here, and like, what's the next book I should recommend? The next book is actually very important. Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. Again, from every book you can learn so much stuff, but I'm just giving you high-level details so you can decide for yourself whether the thought that I'm picking for you is worthwhile, and if it is, it means that there are more thoughts that are worthwhile in that book. So, Never Eat Alone. One thing that you should learn from it. You should always give value first, and this is the power of networking. And I see a lot of people here in Silicon Valley actually doing it. I see a lot of people who approach me and they're like, hey, my name is this and that, I'm doing this and this, lovely to meet you, you know, how I can help you. Are there any people you want introduction to? Are you guys raising money? Do you need any interest to investors? And they're like so open about it. And I'm like, wow, that guy must have read the Never Eat Alone book, because this is what it's talking about. Like, give first and only then take. And this applies to every sphere of our lives, even marketing. Like, for us, for LinguaTrip, it was a game changer, going from like just doing paid ads to actually giving value through our social media channels, through our YouTube channels. When we just give free value to people, they develop trust, and then they're able to buy from us. And you're building your community, you're growing your brand, and same applies to networking. Before asking people for something, give them something. I get so many DMs every single day. People just ask me to translate stuff. They ask me to check their text. They asked me to evaluate their Instagram. They asked me to watch their video and give feedback. Like, as much as I wanted to do that, I don't have a lot of time, and I've done that a couple of times, just help people, and they're like, okay, thank you. Can you watch my second video? They just don't understand that there is just one shot at connecting with one person, and if this connection doesn't bring anything to another person, there would be nothing out of it. So again, give. When I want to connect with somebody, I would do my best to help them. I would offer free course. I would offer, I would do a lot of promotion for them on Instagram. I would invite them to come over to San Francisco to stay with us for free. And I wouldn't even ask them for something in return straight away. I would just build this relationship. I would invest in that. And another thought from this book, don't even expect them to give back. Like, maybe they would never give back, and it's okay. Have no expectations. Sometimes the actual value would come from other people. Sometimes those people that you've invested in would give back. But because you're not expecting it, you're not over frustrating about not receiving something in return, this just becomes your lifestyle. Just, giving and giving to people. So something that you should totally learn. This is super important. As I've already mentioned, I'm a huge fan of audiobooks. They save a lot of time, and they help you do things in parallel. The app that I use all the time is called Audible. I actually have this subscription. It's a month-to-month. And you know what's the best thing about it? So every month you get a free Audible credit, so you can get one audiobook. But sometimes you start listening to books and you're like, I don't like it, I want something else, or you want more books. You can actually return a book for free. They just give you back your credit and you get another book. This is the best thing ever, because sometimes I get 6 books in a month. But yeah, if you don't like a book, I've started reading what was it? Steve Jobs biography, listening to it. And it was so, I'm sorry, but it was boring. Like, I couldn't listen to it. It was so slow, like there was no action. There were a lot of backstories and like going back to some events and like describing some personalities that I wasn't really interested in. And I just returned it. I listened half of the book and I'm like, I cannot take this any longer. And I'm sorry I wasted my credit on it. I just gave it back and got Russell Brunson Expert Secrets, which I listened to in like 6 hours. So very, very important hack. What I also like about Audible, well, you can find basically, I would say any book. I've never had any book that I wanted to find and I didn't find it there. This is like the best. And they also have what is called Audible Originals. This is when people like journalists, business people, marketers create exclusive content for Audible, so you can only get it there. So yeah, it's like an amazing library of knowledge that is right there for you. And as always, for my followers, there's a lot of value in watching my videos, not only because you're getting free information, you're also getting free audiobooks. So if you try Audible for 30 days, you get 1 free audiobook and you also get 2 Audible originals. So in order to get your free book, go to audible.com/Silicon Valley Girl and get it. If you're in the US, you can just text Silicon Valley Girl to 500 500 and get it. So basically, I use Audible on my phone. This is my app. These are all of my books. I have a lot of them. And the best thing is, once you get them, they're not like disappearing in a month or nothing like that happens. They just stay with you because sometimes it takes longer to read one book. You jump from one to another. That happens to me all the time. Somebody recommends a book and I'm like, oh my God, I need to listen to it right now. So yeah, again, if you want to claim your free audiobook, audible.com/Silicon Valley Girl, or if you're in the US, text Silicon Valley Girl to 500 500. Let's move on to book number 4. This book is Crushing It by Gary Vee. I keep telling that he's amazing at motivating people. Sometimes you might get bored by his videos because he's repeating the same stuff all over again. But what he does to me personally, when I feel that I don't want to work, when I feel that I just want to lie down and watch Netflix, we just got a new TV, and it's like, oh my God, it's so addictive. So whenever I feel that way, I switch on his either like YouTube or his audiobook. He has several, but Crushing It is my favorite because he's talking a lot about building your community, and I am translating this onto you. Even if you don't have an idea yet, even if you're not sure what you want to do with your life, start creating your community. Social network doesn't matter. It just matters where you feel comfortable. I would still say like Instagram and YouTube are the fastest growing and have the majority of audience. Facebook is good as well. But wherever you feel comfortable, start sharing, right? And then remember the Never Eat Alone book. Give value. Like, this is very important. Start giving people value. They don't care. Well, maybe some of them care about your dog and some cute filter, but normally they don't care. People only care when you give them value and you make their time worthwhile. So, and I know this transition from like not being a blogger to kind of being a blogger, like starting to write posts and stuff, is a little awkward. But it doesn't matter in long term. So you would just pass this moment when you start creating text and people would just start appreciating it. And then you would realize it's no longer just your ex-classmates following you, it's actually the whole new community. So if you're still not yet convinced, listen to Gary Vee's audiobook. Something I wanted to mention, I'm just looking through the list. Sometimes you just want to relax, like, and get away from business related stuff. Behind Closed Doors, detective story, amazing. The Couple Next Door, detective story, amazing. Oh, The Flight Attendant, very similar in terms of like the plot, but oh my God, The Flight Attendant, if you fly, like, oh my God, this is one of the best. Okay, and the last but not the least, Bad Blood. Everyone is talking about this book in Silicon Valley, and oh my God, I just found out that, well, this is not like 100% true, but somebody told me that Elizabeth Holmes, the founder of Theranos, I'm gonna tell you their story, lives next door to me. I've never seen her in my neighborhood, but turns out she's here. The story is Elizabeth Theranos was at Stanford. She decided that she's gonna build a startup that would just take a drop of your blood and perform 250 tests. But the strategy wasn't viable. Like, she was talking to some professors, they would be like, no, this is impossible. Still, she made a very good job marketing and selling it. She sold it to a lot of investors. She raised like hundreds of millions of dollars. And she was faking her success. She was telling that her machine that actually carried out those tests was actually working, when in reality, she had a small lab, like the standard lab, that was processing everything in her office. So the thing that you learn from this story is that sometimes it's so easy to convince people, and people just don't do the background check. They don't check themselves. Like people who invested in this company didn't even bother to test the product. And the way it all came out was a journalist who decided to test everything, and there was a big scandal. She's still going through like a courtship process. I'm not gonna spoil anymore. It's a really good book, highly recommended, and you can still learn something from this book, because what I feel a lot of startups lack, what Elizabeth has a lot, is actually marketing your product. I'm not sure if fake it till you make it is a good strategy. Sometimes it works. Well, it worked for me in the beginning when I was 21. I was telling everyone that I've already had some clients that I've sent abroad to study. I didn't, but it wasn't that kind of scale, like not when I was telling them my company is working and raised like hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't have to go that way, but like sometimes people have an awesome product and they just don't know how to market it. They don't know how to persuade investors to be on their side. So read that book. Maybe it would help you, market better and actually learn about the madness that's going on sometimes in Silicon Valley. That was it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful, and I hope that this year you're gonna read or listen to a lot more books compared to last year, because this gives you valuable information, this teaches you, and I think everyone should do it. So thank you so much. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, there's a link below. Follow me on Instagram, Lingo Marina. I regularly post useful stuff for entrepreneurs and for people who want to come to Silicon Valley, build their businesses, and like Silicon Valley reality show. Yeah, I will see you soon in the next vlogs. Bye.